In this tutorial, you will learn how to register an API supporting HTTP POST requests in OpenNEX Appstore. An API here refers to a data analytics algorithm wrapped as a programmable web service. In order to register an API, you should select the Register API option from the top menu. Please note that the asterisk beside of a field here means that the field is mandatory. So the mandatory fields for registering an API are API name, short description, API remote call method, sample API call, and API's providers' names and affiliations. As an example here, we can provide an API with name find datasets, and with the short description, this API receives a list of datasets and returns their detailed information. As we said, in this tutorial we want to register an API supporting HTTP POST requests, so that's why we select this option as the API's remote call method. Then we should provide a sample API call showing the URL needed for calling this API. Then we need to provide a sample JSON showing all the parameters needed in the request body for calling this API. You can see here we have provided a JSON array showing the parameters needed for calling this API in the request body. Then we need to specify API providers' names and affiliations. There are also some optional fields that you can provide about your API. For example, you can provide a GUI page for the API's input parameters, or add an API homepage URL, which is a cover page for your API and can show information regarding your API content, goal, usage scenarios, as well as introduction to your team, developers, techniques used, and etc. You can also upload an API thumbnail to show a picture or a diagram of your API. Selecting this checkbox will allow you to apply for NASA endorsement. If you select this checkbox, you should also provide an application letter that will be reviewed by the admin, and you will receive an email regarding the status of your application. Long description is also another optional field that you can provide regarding your API. Finally, you must accept NASA Web Privacy Policy and an NEX policy in order to register your API. Selecting the Register button will save the changes and register your API onto OpenNEX. You can see that your API has been successfully registered onto OpenNEX. Now you should be able to see your API on the API list page. Please note that this list is sorted based on the registration time, so your recently registered API should be on top of this list.